monosodium glutamate, or MSG to its friends. We often associate it with takeaway food, but MSG is also found in a whole host of store cupboard staples.
I just had a question about an ingredient that I've spotted in a few products that you sell. It's called monosodium... Whoops, can't even say it.
I was wondering if you could tell me what MSG is.
It's been a while since I've heard that. It's addictive, I would say.
Is it?
Apparently so.
It's used to enhance flavour in food, but what on earth is it?
This is something called MSG. You ever heard of it?
Oh, right, yeah.
Ah, you pulled a face there. Why did you pull a face?
When you have a Chinese and you get that Chinese jitters.
You do?
I've told it was the MSG.
With a name like that, it can't be natural.
I think it's dangerous.
In the West, MSG has had a bad rep for decades. It's often blamed for causing Chinese restaurant syndrome. Symptoms are claimed to include headaches, flushing, and even heart palpitations. Food manufacturers regularly announce they're removing the stuff from their food. But if it's so bad, why is it still in our food? I'm heading east to Thailand, where MSG has a rather different reputation.
So, first night in Bangkok, I'm eager to have some street food. This stuff looks really good.
Yeah, maybe we can have this chicken noodle.
Looks amazing. So something as basic as a simple chicken noodle soup, has that got MSG in it?
Yeah, mostly we use MSG in every food.
And so is it really commonplace then? Would you have, in the average type of kitchen, salt, pepper, a pot of, MSG?
Yeah, of course. We use MSG to pull out the flavour.
It's interesting, Ange, because back home, MSG would definitely be on the bad boy list of foods, but this chicken soup, it's absolutely delicious.
It's good, right?
Really good.
I've come to a factory on the outskirts of Bangkok, which makes this intriguing food additive.
I've got to tell you, I've been to lots of factories in my time. This has got to be one of the biggest I've ever seen. It's colossal.
The Ajinomoto Corporation pumps out 500,000 tonnes of MSG every year. That's a quarter of the world's production.
Hi there.
Hi. Mr. O is the factory manager.
Let's go.
All this complicated pipework makes me think they're using some pretty fancy chemicals here. First stop is a warehouse where they store the key ingredient of MSG.
Wow. What's in here?
This one is tapioca starch warehouse.
Tapioca starch?
Yes.
So you use tapioca to make MSG?
Yes.
See, most people in the UK, tapioca we have as a pudding.
Oh.
At school. So where does the tapioca come from then?
From the cassava plant and dry milk, and we get this one.
So a pudding ingredient we eat in the UK is key to making MSG. Who'd have thought it? They use tapioca flour because it's high in sugar-rich starch. The first stage in the process is to mix the flour with water and bacteria in these giant vats.
It looks like a spaceship. What's going on here?
This one we call fermentation.
It's a centuries-old process using bacteria and sugar to create a fermentation. To help me get a closer look at the next step, I'm meeting in-house scientist Dr. Tui.
Dr. Tui, great, so you're going to show me more about MSG?
Yeah, of course.
In the lab, brilliant.
Yes, come with me.
The fermentation process produces glutamic acid. To turn this into MSG now requires a series of chemical reactions.
We need to extract the glutamic acid to make clean and purify it.
The solution is sterilized and then dried. The powder formed contains glutamate, the G in MSG. Water is added and then sodium bicarbonate or baking soda. This monosodium is there to carry the glutamate, making it easy to sprinkle MSG over food. The solution is then filtered to get rid of its colour.
Oh, here we go. Look at that.
And finally heated so it forms crystals. Hey presto, we've created MSG.
It's taken a lot of work to fish you out. I feel like I'm in Breaking Bad.
So MSG is derived from a natural product. But will eating it do me any harm? I've come to Reading University to find out. Dr. Lisa Methven is an expert in flavour and taste.
Hi there.
Hi, good to see you.
Good to see you. Now I heard you can help me with MSG.
That's right.
Is it safe to eat?
Well, the thing to remember about glutamate is that actually it's naturally present in foods.
The glutamate in MSG, is that a different glutamate?
No, it's exactly the same. And in fact, you experience glutamate really early in life. So the first experience you'll have is through your mother's breast milk.
You're joking?
Yeah.
So you get glutamate through your mum's breast milk?
Yeah.
So in fact, glutamate occurs naturally in virtually every type of food.
So some things that are particularly high in glutamate are some of the cheeses. So we've got some Parmesan cheese and some blue cheese over here. The levels in vegetables can be quite high as well. So you've got some examples of potatoes and peas here. These are low levels of glutamate in comparison to your cheese.
So not only is flavour-enhancing glutamate found in cheese and veg, it's also added to loads of everyday foods from stock cubes to dried noodles.
It seems now that something I grew up with, monosodium glutamate, as almost being the devil's work, is actually, after looking at the factory and talking to you, finding out the glutamate is actually quite natural. Do you think monosodium glutamate deserves all the bad press it's had?
I don't think it does, to be honest. There is an argument that if you concentrate it, maybe you need to consider then the levels at which it's safe to have.
So glutamate naturally occurring, not really a problem. But when it's an additive like monosodium glutamate, you should use the same sort of wisdom as you do when using table salt or something like that.
Exactly. And at that point, you're using it within the right levels within the food.
There have been more than 80 scientific studies into MSG over the last 30 years. And the overwhelming consensus is that MSG is safe to eat.
So it would appear that MSG doesn't deserve such a bad reputation. If it's eaten in moderation, then it's safe.